Hello, one-dimensional linear systems. All right. So, what are three non-SI units of measure for one-dimensional distances? Okay, what are they? So, what is it that you hear in normal everyday talk concerning distances something is away from where you are, or where something is away from another point of reference? It would be probably miles, right? Feet, maybe inches, maybe fractions of an inch, right? If you're dealing with sockets or something like that, like the 3/8 socket, 9/16, things like that. And we measure things like that. You probably don't hear the SI units much. Meters, centimeters, millimeters, kilometers. Probably don't hear that much. But we measure those things in one dimension, right? Using one-dimensional items of measure. This being a ruler or measuring centimeters. Ruler, nonetheless. We can measure linear distances using a yardstick or meter stick. All right. And we can also break things down even smaller using these calipers, just showing tools that we can use to measure one-dimensional linear systems. And that can break things down into even smaller past centimeters, as you can see, millimeters. And those are some tools that we would use for measuring distance, one dimension. One dimension being any one of the two parts you see to this Cartesian coordinate plane. The x usually being a distance something is along the horizontal axis, and y being something that you would measure height, perpendicular from the horizontal axis. Okay? What does that mean? Maybe measure the height of a building in the y-axis. Maybe measure how far another building is from one another by the x-axis. Maybe measure how far somebody drove along the x-axis. Any one of those two, and that would be one-dimensional. Okay. And this, let me back up. This is what we would call the Cartesian coordinate plane. Okay. And we can measure distances in relation to one another on these axes. Put small numbers, hash marks, and label things accordingly. All right, so what does a radius represent? So a radius, first of all, let me back up to what a diameter is. A diameter, if you take a cylinder, hoop, loop, whatever, and you measure from end to end, passing through the center, which is the key word there, passing through the center, you will get from end to end the diameter of this hoop, circle, loop, whatever. You take that diameter value and you cut it in half. So you're going from directly in the center outward to the outer edge. You'll get the radius, okay? You'll get the radius going from the center out to the edge, out to the outer edge. And that would be the radius. A lot of useful things we could find from the radius, like the circumference of a circle. We can also find the area of a circle, which we'll get to later. And we can also, well, yeah, those are the two things that we're most concerned with right now. So given a two-dimensional shape, what is the name we give to the one-dimensional distance that defines the shape around that object? Kind of could be worded better, but the one-dimensional unit of measure around an object. So around this, I already said it once, it's the circumference, right? But that's for something circular typically. What about anything? How about all things that have an outer circumference, right? How about like a trapezoid or a square? It's not called a circumference, it's called a perimeter. So the circumference is a perimeter of the cylinder here. The perimeter of a fence line, right? The perimeter of your property is just a one-dimensional unit of measure around the outside of whatever internal shape it's holding. All right, we'll get to the rest in just a minute. Thank you.